What's the dumbest thing someone tried to brag about? Kid in my class bragged about how he stole an air freshener from the school bathroom. He was holding an unwrapped, wet urinal cake in his hand. I work with a grown butt man who taped 3 of them under his desk as an air freshener. They smell like a combination of cherry and bleach. I used to work with a guy who bragged that he could read print with his fingers, like Daredevil. When I asked him to demonstrate on a newspaper, he admitted that it only worked on embossed print, like on our business cards. So he could read print by feel, but only raised print, and only if he'd seen it before. Not really an impressive trick. That's nothing. If you open a brand new, unshuffled deck of cards, I can tell you which one's on top. This girl I went to high school with had to make everything a bragging competition, even negative things. Me, ugh, my shoes are giving me blisters. Her, yeah well mine are why worse. Or, me, you my shirt smells. Her, yeah well mine smells even worse. I worked with a sucker like that, always had a one-up story for everything. Me and a co-worker started making up stories to see how many different one-ups he could come up with. I hate when patients try to convince each other that their diagnosis treatments are so much worse than anyone else's. How long are you on chemo? Well I have to be here 3 hours. Well I have to be here every day for 5 days in a row. Is yours curable? That's good. But I'll be on chemo the rest of my life. At least you don't have to sit here with 3 bulging discs. My doctor says I'm too sick for surgery. Have you tried steroid shots? I have to get them because I have floating cartilage in both knees. Shut up, all of you. You all have cancer and it all sucks. Back in high school, there was this rich kid who loved to brag, usually about his dad's car or some crap he did in a video game. He also liked to one-up people. I don't even remember how we got on the subject, but he started bragging about his washing machine and how many RPM it had. This wins. This freaking wins. I get that washing machines rotate, but I had never imagined you could brag about how fast. The size of his dong. That's not the dumb part though. The dumb part is that I was about to see it, and he lied. Like, WTF. I'm interested in the claim to actual ratio. My neighbor was bragging about how long her 3-year-old son's penis was. She told my wife and I. Everyone always says OMG his penis is so long. I'm just like, why the frick have so many people seen your boy's wang? That is just so fricking weird. How he keeps it real and doesn't give a frick what anyone thinks, yet also seemed rather perturbed when I rolled my eyes at him. It's like he momentarily forgot to not give a frick. In my experience, people who claim that they don't give a frick are the ones that really do, especially when you tell them you don't give a frick that they don't give a frick. I haven't read a book since 7th grade. Neat. Hi everyone. If you don't like reading for whatever reason, but you don't go around acting like an butt about it, then I'm not talking about you and there is no need to justify yourself to me or get defensive. I'm talking about people who actually brag about not reading as if it's a good personality trait and something to show off. That's it. Holy crap, this just made me realize I haven't read a book since 7th grade. A girl on my course at uni was bragging about starting her essay, worth 60%, at 6 AM the day it was due at 12 noon. She ended up submitting in 4 minutes late, having lied about the word count, way under, making up a critic, and footnoting and referencing incorrectly. She's really proud of that, too. I personally had a hard time with procrastinating in uni, to the point where I couldn't do an essay until the pressure was on. Note that I did a history degree, involving multiple 20+ page essays. Needless to say, I didn't do very well but I passed. School is not for me. I don't understand stolen valor. People buy and wear expensive but military uniforms just so they can gallivant around the mall. They talk to kids, and boast to random people about their service. Is playing make-believe really all that enthralling that you would risk both shaming yourself and breaking the law? If the prestige of being a member of the military means that much to you, then maybe you should join the army. Someone posted in our pics a copy of their manuscript and first rejection letter. It then went on to brag about how easy writing came and don't forget Harry Potter got rejected X number of times. Apparently, they felt they were the next J.K. Rowling. We all goaded this guy into posting the first chapter. So bad. No cohesion, spelling errors, factual errors in geography and boating, weird word choice and scattered thoughts. The rejection was obvious. This didn't look like a first draft even. And the bragging continued about how at least he had courage to write something and try to publish it. Last time I looked, it was still unpublished. So I think reality set in. The fact that some geniuses were laughed at does not imply that all who are laughed at are geniuses. They laughed at Columbus. They laughed at Fulton. They laughed at the Wright brothers. But they also laughed at Bozo the Clown. Cole Sagan broke his brain. A new guy at work was really weird and awkward but seemed nice enough, so we invited him out for happy hour. I guess he was trying to fit in when was describing his crappy sex life with his ex-wife and what a bitch she was. Standard talk for divorced guys, I suppose. And then he went on to detail how smooth his balls were because he had gotten them botoxed. As in he had to tell us how his ex was missing out because his balls were so smooth and how amazing it was. Just so many details that I did not ever need to hear about anyone's balls. Really, ever. Needless to say, he was never invited to happy hour again. I'm sorry, but I couldn't stop laughing at this. LOL. Made a comment about my old dog that my ex took, and in it I had said she had left me for another guy 18 days before the wedding. Before that, to save face, she kept denying that she was ever even seeing him or cheated on me. She then proceeded to find that comment weeks after it was posted in a thread that got nowhere. Comment on it saying she was with the guy long before the 18 days I mentioned in my comment. I didn't reply, and the thread was already dead so no one else saw it. It just seemed like the dumbest thing to brag about. That is dumb. Glad she left you and didn't string you along through the marriage. Fellow I went to school with ended up on H. Was always a prick and his life was never gonna be a success, but thought he was some kinda OG cause he was a smackhead. Bumped into in my mid-20s once in a pub. Was the same old T trying to impress everyone. Told us a story he thought made him look cool. Apparently he came around a bend in the road and found a car on its side with the occupants. A middle-aged couple, unconscious and needing help. Rather than do the normal thing, he decided to rob them. Took great delight in telling us how he'd taken the wallet from the guy and the purse from the lady. SMH. I've no idea whether it was true or not, but how he got out that pub without getting seriously hurt I don't know. Took all my powers of persuasion to stop any of my lads having a go, and there were others in there more than capable and certainly willing to seriously hurt someone. He probably wanted to get beat up and sent to the hospital so they would pump him full of pain meds. Then he could sneak around and try to steal even more. Seekhead logic. Had another friend who used celebrities' first names with no context to make it seem like he knows people. Him. Yeah, might go see Keith's band play next month. Me. Keith's in a band? I didn't know that. At this point I think he's talking about a mutual friend. Him. The Rolling Stones? It's very bizarre. Everybody knows it's Charlie's band. Had a friend who liked to name drop people who are not celebrities, but he likes to feel important. You see that guy over there? That's Jason. He's the assistant manager at the hardware store. Maybe he'll say hi to us. It's so embarrassing. This sounds hilarious to me. Maybe I don't get it. A friend of a friend. Well, call him Travis. I guess that makes him my acquaintance. Attends the gym 2 hours a day, follows a rigorous diet, and although I'm not 100% certain he doesn't use steroids, Travis's passion and discipline for lifting and getting big is something I totally respect him for, and when summer comes anyone can clearly see the results. He is a 240-pound muscle bull. He does look impressive. Imho Travis has the right to brag about his size and wear revealing clothes because of all the hard work he puts on every day. However, when he implies he can kick anyone's butt, well, that's where I draw the line. I train MMA, therefore I know a lot of dudes who train MMA. One day, I was not present. Travis got into a discussion with one of those MMA guys. One thing led to another and it was decided to settle things outside. Long story short, 27-year-old 240 pounds Travis got humiliated by 21-year-old 165 pounds Irvin. People who witnessed this say it was glorious. The incident, however, hasn't stopped Travis from talking too much. 3. Yes, fighters are much better fighters than gym junkies. But don't be fooled, people. They still hit like a freaking truck. And if they ever get hold of you, like a bear hug, good luck. There's a reason weight classes exist in fighting sports. When people brag about all the things they don't know, as if ignorance is a virtue. Heck no, I don't speak any other language besides English. This is America, baby. Posted this in another thread, but at undergrad, kids would brag about all the elite schools they got into. Stanford, UCLA, Ivy League, etc. Well, that's cool, but you're in the same freaking class as me right now. Overheard this guy on a train bragging to the girl next to him about how many DUIs he's been able to talk himself out of. Who is this impressing? The accomplishments of other people which have nothing whatsoever to do with you. I'm proud of my European country I've never been to ish heritage, because my ancestors practically built Western civilization. Yeah, well, my team won the Super Bowl. One of my old friends from high school was telling me about how he recently got a raise at his job where he's making 6 figures and how he stays in shape by running 5 miles every morning before making breakfast for his wife who's pregnant with their first child. It's like WTF, some people brag about anything. I recently became apprentice sales associate at Party City and you don't see me blabbing about it. Dial bro. Get a load of Mr. Party City big shot over here. Having kids. You literally did what humans are biologically engineered to do. Raise decent human beings. Then I'll be impressed. Sounds weird, but being dumb. Like, when they go hahaha I failed that class again, or bragging about being apathetic in general. It's not cute to have zero ambition. Defense mechanism. If I make fun of myself, other people will make less fun of me. I have a coworker who brags about how picky of an eater she is. No allergies or anything limiting her diet. Just hates everything and needs to boast about it anytime office chatter goes to the subject of a new restaurant, or about some new meal someone cooked. A guy in one of my classes bragged to me about having the best antivirus software for his laptop, and 1 second after the brag I watched a roach run out of his laptop. It was actually amazing. When people brag about stuff that a stereotypical macho man should do, like being in fist fights, freaking a lot of girls, having a big penis, etc. It just sounds so childish and ridiculous. Like wasting an entire life to fulfill an empty animal-esque obsolete dangerous ideal. And I'll kick the butt of anyone that disagrees. Just try and kick my butt and I'll pull my 11-inch hog out of whatever bee I'm stuffing it in at the moment. Break your face with it, and put it in the pee I have waiting on deck before you even hit the floor. A couple years ago, I was in Vegas with my husband and a few friends. We had been walking around all day. Vegas, am I right? And our feet were killing us. At one point, my husband and I took an escalator up to the 2nd floor and one of our friends ran up the flight of stairs next to us. He reached the top and then beamed down at us with his hands on his hips. He, a 30-year-old man, exclaimed loudly for everyone to hear, "I beat you. 2 steps at a time. That's how you do it." Okay, what did he want? A medal? He still brings it up to this day. Haha. Remember that time I beat you up the stairs in Vegas? 2 steps at a time. That's how you do it. Dude must not have a lot going on. Oh man, here we go. I've witnessed people bragging about how they got a visit from CPS and kept their crap together just long enough for the worker to leave. I've been to jail times also. My lawyer has gotten me out of going to jail times. There's a lady on my Facebook who brags about how sick she is. Normally people would rally around someone that's sick to help, but she's so demanding and overshares about it so much that a lot of people have stopped. And my personal favorite, the people who brag about how bad their mental illnesses are. Honestly, I'm not even sure they've been properly diagnosed. More seems like they use it as an excuse to be a person. Had a student who liked to brag about his PS4 being the best console. He was bragging about graphics and load times, etc. Mind you, he was bragging to a kid who had just built PC that ran 4K and had little to no load times. PS4 kid was convinced nothing could beat a PS4. It was cringe-inducing to watch him get told how wrong he was. A friend of mine from school said his friend told him he has a PS5 and his dad works for Sony. A few years ago, Sisters of Mercy was my favorite band and I wore a band shirt one night when I went out for a drink. One guy did his best to try to get me in bed by telling me he also loved that band and that he actually knew their drummer. I laughed him straight in his face and walked away. Why? Because Sisters of Mercy doesn't have a drummer. They have a drum machine they call Dr. Avalanche. If you want to brag to impress me, you better get the basic facts straight. Till there's such thing as a drum machine and they have awesome names. Worked with a guy that bragged he doesn't get a buzz from a 30-pack of Coors anymore. That's not an accomplishment, that's a problem. Whoa man, a 30-pack doesn't give me a buzz either. It's definitely not a problem. Only because it lasts me a month. That they could suck on their own dong. He felt very badass. He even asked his teacher if he could do it for the talent show. He was only 5 so he didn't understand. I feel that's legitimately something you can brag about. He should feel badass. If I can do that, I don't know if I would ever leave the house. In the US, pretty much any time someone brags about not having a benefit people in other first world countries have, in the midst of a conversation about the US's lack of such benefits. Who needs 6 weeks off a year? 2 is fine with me and I went back to work the week after I gave birth come to mind. My mortal foe, Amintuck the Red, once paid the bards of the South vast sums to spread a song chronicling his deeds of battle. The third verse described how he had slain the Lizard King. Little did he know that I was amassing hordes of heavily armed soldiers just west in the woods above the Canyon of Firth, overlooking his stronghold. I later feasted on his still living body, hunted down each of his hired singers, and slit their tongues in two. A different song altogether is now sung in those parts. I've never paid taxes. I'm living off the grid. Yes, you have, and no you're not. Taxes get withheld at your crap job. You're just not smart enough to file a return and get them refunded because you make so little. A girl on my course at college keeps telling everyone her dog is a pit bull cross. We live in the UK so they're a banned breed. We're doing animal care as well so she's well aware of BSL. And her dog is aggressive to the point it needs muzzled in the house when there's visitors. So there's no way it would ever pass the registration tests. I snapped one day and asked if she thought it made her sound hard, and said the only thing that would happen is that her dog would end up being put to sleep because she's an idiot. How bad the weather is in their state. I saw on Twitter some girl posted a pic of Ohio's weather. One day it was like 60°F and the next it was snowing. And everyone kept commenting about how their state's weather changes twice as fast and twice as drastic. You know what they say about the weather in Washington? Shut the frick up. Met these guys at college who bragged about taking money from their parents that was intended for tuition but never actually registered for classes and just kept the money. 'Cause stealing makes you cool? Bragging about the girl they slept with the night before when they are in a committed and monogamous relationship with someone else. A fellow at work constantly brags about things he is going to do. I've known him for years. In that time he has yet to actually do any of the things he talks about. Yes, Mark, it's great that you want to learn German and open a mechanic shop, but you don't get points for dreaming. Today is the day I start that company that reboots the Zune and does it so well it brings down Apple entirely. People who brag about how they survived without the medical research or technology we have today, especially in regards to raising children. I get it. Your children survived and were healthy, but many people weren't so lucky, which is why the research was being done. It's okay if the new generation heeds health advice. It's not a reflection on you. When they brag about how they beat their kids, while also bragging about how they were spanked, beaten and they turned out great. I'll never understand why people do this. It just makes me sad. For some reason, I lied to my co-worker and bragged that I used to drink O'Dowell's as a kid. This was last year. I was 31. The amount of pride some people have in their drunk, distracted driving talents is unsettling. Always call people out on that stuff. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.